Sometimes, life pauses you in a way that feels almost like a whisper. Maybe it's a video that appears on your screen, a sentence you overhear, or even just the way someone looks at you for a brief moment. On the surface, it seems random, but deep down, you know better. You feel it in your chest, in that quiet place within you that has always known the truth. This moment is not an accident. You didn't go looking for this message. This message found you, like two distant stars that suddenly align. Your energy has reached a point where it resonates with something far greater than your everyday life. This is not luck. It is what I call quantum resonance, the invisible dance of connection, where your inner frequency finally matches the song of the universe. Most of the world is still asleep, caught in the illusion that everything is separate, disconnected, and purely coincidental. 99% of humanity walks through life like dreamers, unaware they are dreaming. But you are part of that rare 1% who begins to wake up, and that awakening is not always comfortable. It rarely comes wrapped in pretty packaging or perfect timing. No, awakening often arrives through challenge, through loss, through heartbreak, through the nights when you sit alone and wonder if anyone truly understands you. Those moments weren't punishments. They were preparation, like a seed beneath the cold, heavy soil you had to crack open in the dark before you could reach for the light. The breaking wasn't meant to destroy you, it was meant to free you. Think about it. A seed doesn't become a tree by staying whole and untouched. It must split apart, surrender its old form, and allow life to push through. Your soul has been doing the same thing. Every hardship you faced has been guiding you here to this exact moment. The people who doubted you, the doors that closed in your face, the times you felt abandoned, they weren't signs that you were cursed or forgotten. They were signs that the universe was shaping you, refining you, making space for what was meant for you all along. And now, here you are, listening to these words, not by mistake, but by design, because deep within you, a new frequency has been stirring, waiting for the right moment to emerge. This is that moment. You see, when your inner world shifts even slightly, your outer world must respond. It's like tuning a radio when you change the dial. You don't just hear different music, you enter a completely different station. Your thoughts, your emotions, your very presence are like that radio signal. When they align, when they vibrate with coherence and clarity, life begins to rearrange itself around you. What seemed impossible suddenly begins to flow. The people who are meant to walk beside you appear. Opportunities seem to show up out of nowhere, and you realize they were never out of reach. They were always waiting for you to become ready. Today, you stand on the edge of that readiness. You may not see it yet, but a new life is forming beneath the surface. Like the first green sprout pushing through the soil, your awakening has already begun. And once it starts, it cannot be reversed. So take a deep breath right now. Feel the truth of this moment settling into your body. Everything you've gone through, every tear, every sleepless night, it wasn't meaningless. It was a sacred preparation. The universe has been guiding you here, shaping you, calling you home to yourself. And now, as you listen, that seed inside you has finally cracked open. It's ready to grow. You're ready to grow. And soon, the life you once dreamed of will no longer feel like a dream. It will feel like home. 1. Signs of awakening. Through intuition and déjà vu. There are moments in life that stop us in our tracks. Moments that feel like the world holds its breath for just a second. You might walk into a room you've never been in before, yet somehow, it feels familiar, almost as if you've stood there before in another lifetime. You might have a dream so vivid that it lingers with you all day, leaving you with the strange sensation that it wasn't just a dream at all, but a memory from someplace beyond this reality. Or perhaps you've felt that quiet certainty that something was about to happen. only to watch it unfold exactly as you sensed. These are not random experiences. They are not quirks of the mind or glitches in your memory. They are signs of awakening. When you begin to awaken, your consciousness expands beyond the limits of this single timeline. You start to feel the gentle threads connecting you to other versions of yourself, versions that have walked different paths, made different choices, lived different stories. These threads cross and intertwine in mysterious ways, and sometimes you catch a glimpse of them. That's what we call déjà vu. Most people brush these moments aside, labeling them coincidences or tricks of the brain. But when you pause and truly listen to them, you realize they carry a message. It's like a soft knock on the door of your awareness, saying, "Pay attention. Something deeper is unfolding." Think of your life as a vast, flowing river. For many years, you may have believed there was only one stream, one direction, one possibility. But as you awaken, you begin to see that this river branches into countless channels. Sometimes, a memory or a feeling from one branch drifts across into another, and you sense it without fully understanding why. That is your soul reminding you, you are more than this moment, more than this body, more than this single story. These experiences of intuition and déjà vu are your inner compass coming back online. It is not a tool you have to build from scratch. It has always been there, waiting beneath the noise of the world. When you feel something strongly in your gut, that instinct to turn left instead of right, to say yes when logic says no, or to walk away when everything around you tells you to stay, that is your deeper self speaking to you. At first, this connection can feel subtle, like a faint whisper that's easy to miss. But as you learn to trust it, as you stop dismissing those small nudges, the voice grows stronger. You'll begin to notice patterns, numbers repeating, meaningful symbols showing up at just the right time, conversations that seem too perfectly timed to be accidental. These are not accidents. They are signs that you are aligning with a greater flow, a rhythm that exists beneath the surface of everyday life. Imagine standing at the edge of a forest just before dawn. The world is quiet, but you can hear the first rustle of leaves, the faint call of a bird waking up, the hint of light beginning to break through the darkness. That's what awakening feels like. It doesn't come all at once, like a lightning strike. It comes softly, gently, until you realize the sun has risen and you can finally see clearly. When déjà vu wash over you, don't rush past it. When a dream feels more real than waking life, don't dismiss it as fantasy. When your intuition speaks, even in the smallest ways, take a breath and listen. These are glimpses of the truth that you are connected to a vast web of existence, one that spans across time, space, and even lifetimes. As you deepen into this awareness, you'll begin to see life differently. The past and future won't feel so separate. The choices you make will feel more guided, more intentional, and you'll start to understand that you are never truly lost, because some part of you has already walked this path and is now gently guiding you forward. This is the beginning of awakening, learning to trust the unseen currents that have always been carrying you. It is the quiet realization that your life is far bigger than the story you once believed, and that every sign, every whisper, every moment of déjà vu is an invitation to step into that greater truth. 2. The universe is not random. Challenges are preparation. There was a time when I thought life was unfair, when everything seemed to fall apart all at once. I would look at the sky and wonder if there was someone up there punishing me, or if maybe I was just cursed with bad luck. It's a heavy feeling, isn't it? To believe that the pain you carry has no purpose. But as I've walked through my own darkness, I've come to see something deeply simple yet profoundly liberating. The universe is not random, and your suffering is not meaningless. The hardships you faced were never punishments. They were preparation, like a sculptor chiseling away at stone. Life has been shaping you, refining you, removing the pieces that don't belong so that your true form can emerge. And yes, it hurts. Growth often does. Think of a caterpillar. From the outside, its transformation looks like destruction. It crawls into a cocoon, and inside, everything it once was begins to dissolve. If you didn't understand what was happening, you might think it was dying. But that so-called destruction is exactly what allows the butterfly to be born. Without that complete surrender of its old form, it could never spread its wings. Your challenges are like that cocoon. The heartbreaks, the failures, the nights you've cried alone, the seasons where nothing seemed to make sense. These weren't signs of your weakness. They were the conditions needed for your awakening. You weren't being punished. You were being prepared to step into a version of yourself you couldn't see yet. I know it's difficult to believe this when you're still inside the cocoon. When you're surrounded by darkness, it's easy to feel abandoned. You may look around and see only loss, only endings, and wonder if you'll ever feel whole again. But one day, you'll look back and realize that even the most painful experiences were carrying you towards something greater. I've lived this truth myself. There were chapters of my life where I lost everything I thought defined me: relationships, work, even my sense of who I was. At the time, it felt like my world was collapsing for no reason at all. But now, I can see that life wasn't tearing me apart. It was stripping away everything that wasn't truly mine so I could discover what was. Sometimes, the very things we cling to most tightly are the ones holding us back. We can't imagine life without them. Yet they keep us small, afraid, and disconnected from our true potential. When the universe removes these things, it can feel cruel, even violent. But often, it is an act of deep love, a way of clearing space for what you were always meant to become. Imagine trying to plant a seed in soil that's crowded with rocks and weeds. No matter how much sunlight you give it, it won't grow unless you clear the ground first. Your life works the same way. The universe clears out the old, the heavy, the unaligned, not to hurt you, but to make room for the growth that's ready to come through. The truth is, if you're listening to this now, you've already survived so much more than you realize. Every challenge you've faced has strengthened you in ways you can't yet see. It has taught you resilience, compassion, and clarity. It has been quietly building the foundation for the next chapter of your life. One day, you'll step out of the cocoon. Just like the butterfly, you'll spread your wings and finally understand why you had to go through everything you did. And when that day comes, you won't see your past as a series of punishments or failures. You'll see it as a sacred preparation, the exact experiences you needed to become who you truly are. So if you're in the middle of the storm right now, hold on to this truth. The universe is not against you. It has never been. Everything is unfolding with purpose, even when you can't see it yet. Your pain is not the end of your story. It is the soil from which new life will grow. And one day, you will look back with gratitude, knowing that every tear, every challenge, every loss was part of the beautiful process of becoming whole. 3. A personal story of collapse and awakening. There was a season of my life when everything I thought I could count on vanished. One piece at a time. It didn't happen all at once, but slowly, like a house falling apart from the inside. At first, it was little things. A job opportunity that fell through, a relationship that ended unexpectedly. Then, the foundation began to crumble. My finances collapsed. My closest friendships faded. And eventually, even my sense of who I was seemed to dissolve. I remember sitting alone one night in my car, my only shelter at the time. It was winter, and the windows were fogged from my breath. Outside, the world was silent, cold, and indifferent. Inside, I felt like I was disappearing. I didn't just lose things. I lost the identity I had spent my entire life building. I was no longer successful, No longer strong. No longer the person others admired or envied. All the labels I had clung to had been stripped away, leaving only a raw, aching emptiness. I stared up at the sky through that fogged glass, and I whispered a question into the darkness. Why? Why is this happening to me? But there was no answer. At least not in words. Instead, there was silence. And in that silence, something began to shift. You see, when life takes everything from you, it also gives you a strange kind of freedom. With nothing left to hold on to, you stop fighting. You stop pretending you're in control. And in that surrender, you begin to hear things you couldn't hear before. That night, in the quiet of my own collapse, I felt something not outside of me, but within me. It was a faint hum, like a vibration deep in my chest. It wasn't comforting at first. It felt foreign, like meeting a stranger who somehow knows you better than you know yourself. But the longer I sat with it, the more it began to feel like truth. And then I understood my circumstances were not the problem. My frequency was. Up until that moment, I had been living at the frequency of fear. Every thought, every decision, every action was built on a foundation of not enough. Not enough money, not enough love, not enough worthiness. And like a radio tuned to a static-filled station, my life kept playing back that same song: lack, struggle, desperation. That night, I realized something so simple, it changed everything. My circumstances did not define me. My outer reality was just a mirror reflecting the inner signal I was broadcasting. If I wanted my life to change, I didn't need to force the outside world to obey me. I needed to tune my inner world to a different frequency. It wasn't an instant transformation. I didn't wake up the next day with all my problems solved or my dreams handed to me, but I started small. Each day, I chose to shift my focus just a little, from fear to gratitude, from anger to acceptance, from doubt to trust. Some days, it was as simple as breathing deeply and whispering to myself, I am safe. I am enough. Other days, it meant letting go of things and people I'd been clinging to, even when it hurt. Slowly, my inner world began to change. And as it did, my outer world followed. Opportunities I could never have planned began to appear. People showed up in my life who supported and inspired me. The more I aligned my energy with peace and clarity, the more my reality started to reflect that harmony back to me. Looking back now, I understand why I had to lose everything. If I hadn't been stripped bare, I would have never discovered the truth hidden beneath all my masks and achievements. The collapse wasn't a punishment. It was an initiation, a sacred clearing that forced me to let go of who I thought I was so I could step into who I truly am. If you are in that place of darkness right now, please hear this. Your life is not over. Even if it feels like you're surrounded by ruins, there is something unbreakable inside you, humming softly, waiting to be heard. That hum is your true self. And when you tune into it, you'll begin to understand what I discovered that night in my car. Your circumstances are temporary. Your frequency is eternal. And when you shift your frequency, you shift everything. From that place, the life you once dreamed of stops being a dream. It becomes your lived reality. One choice, one breath, one moment at a time. 4. The difference between attraction and alignment. For a long time, I misunderstood what it meant to create change in my life. I thought if I wanted something badly enough, success, love, peace, abundance, I needed to go out and get it. I believed I had to chase it, to try harder, to somehow convince life to give me what I desired. This is what so many of us are taught. The harder you push, the more you'll achieve. It's the culture of hustle, of endless striving, of believing that if you just work hard enough or visualize long enough, you'll finally attract what you want. But here's the truth. I came to realize one that was as humbling as it was Liberating. Trying to attract something often keeps it far away. Let me explain. When you focus on attracting something, there's an unspoken assumption hidden beneath the effort. I don't have this yet. Every thought, every ritual, every plan you make is built on that quiet but powerful foundation of lack. And the energy of lack has a way of multiplying itself. It's like standing at the edge of a lake and shouting, "I want peace," while the water beneath you ripples with tension. No matter how loudly you shout, the water doesn't become still. In fact, the very act of shouting disturbs it even more. That's what happens when we try to attract from a place of scarcity. We unintentionally send out a signal that says, "I am separate from what I desire." This is why so many people feel stuck in cycles of wanting and waiting. They make vision boards. They repeat affirmations. They do all the right things. Yet nothing changes. Because deep inside, their energy is saying, "It's not here. I'm not there yet. Maybe someday." But alignment is different. Alignment is not about reaching outward. It's about turning inward and becoming the person who naturally lives the reality you long for. Instead of shouting across the lake, alignment is like becoming the stillness of the water itself. It's not about forcing, chasing, or convincing. It's about embodying. Imagine a tuning fork. When one fork vibrates, another nearby begins to vibrate at the exact same frequency. It doesn't have to reach out or ask permission. It simply resonates. That's how alignment works. When you shift your internal state, the outer world has no choice but to reflect it back to you. For example, let's say you desire love. Attraction says, "I want someone to love me. So, I'll try to attract a partner who will finally make me feel whole." But alignment says, "I am love. I embody it. I live it. I treat myself and others with love. And therefore, love naturally flows to me." See the difference? One approach chases what feels missing. The other radiates wholeness. And in doing so, effortlessly draws to itself what matches that vibration. I learned this lesson in one of the most challenging seasons of my life. Back then, I was constantly trying to attract abundance. I worked hard, set intentions, repeated mantras, and yet, I felt like I was always swimming upstream. Nothing flowed, and the harder I tried, the more exhausted and resentful I became. One day, I simply stopped. I was too tired to push anymore. In that quiet space, I asked myself, if I already had what I wanted, how would I feel today? How would I think, speak, and move through the world? The answer that came to me was simple. I would feel calm. I would trust. I wouldn't scramble or beg or plead. I would be. So, I began to practice being that version of myself, not someday, but now. I started making decisions from a place of sufficiency instead of lack. I began to align my actions with the life I desired, even before I saw evidence of it. And slowly, everything around me began to shift. Opportunities appeared without force. People entered my life who felt like they were always meant to be there. The flow I had been chasing finally arrived, not because I went after it, but because I matched it. Here's what I've learned. When you live in alignment, you don't have to chase. You don't have to fight or prove or plead. You simply resonate with the reality you want to experience. And when that happens, the universe has no choice but to reflect your inner state back to you. It's like standing in front of a mirror. The reflection can only show what you already are. So, if you find yourself exhausted from trying to attract, pause, take a breath. And instead of asking, "How can I get what I want?" ask, "Who do I need to become so that this desire is a natural expression of me?" Because when you embody that version of yourself, you'll see that the thing you were reaching for was never separate from you. It was always waiting inside you, ready to bloom the moment you aligned with it. 5. The observer effect, creating your reality. There's a quiet moment that comes just before a change in your life. A moment where nothing on the outside has shifted yet, but something deep within you has already decided. It's almost invisible to others, but you can feel it. It's like the stillness before dawn, when the world seems to hold its breath, waiting for the first light. This is the power of observation. In the world of quantum physics, there's a concept called the observer effect. It tells us that reality isn't fixed the way we once believed. Instead, everything exists as possibilities, countless outcomes hovering in a state of potential. And it is the act of observation that brings one of those possibilities into form. I know, it sounds like something out of a science textbook or a spiritual teaching. But when you truly sit with it, you realize how profoundly it applies to your life. Because here's the truth. You are not just living inside a reality. You are shaping it with every thought, every belief, every way you see yourself. Most of us go through life unaware of this power. We think the outside world is happening to us. We wake up. We react. We fight fires. We play roles. And we rarely stop to notice that the lens through which we see ourselves is quietly programming the life we experience. But whether you're conscious of it or not, you are always observing. And that observation is always creating. Think of it like this. Your life is like a vast field of seeds. Each seed represents a possibility: joy, love, abundance, freedom, but also fear, scarcity, loneliness, and struggle. They're all there, waiting beneath the soil. The seed that grows is determined by where you place your attention, by what you water with your energy. Your observation is the sunlight. Whatever you consistently shine it on will take root and rise into reality. If you constantly see yourself as someone who is not enough, someone who must fight and claw for every scrap of joy, then that becomes the reality that unfolds before you. It's not punishment. It's simply how the field responds to the signal you are sending. You don't get what you wish for. You get what you repeatedly confirm through your focus. I learned this lesson during a very dark period of my life. Back then, I saw myself through the eyes of failure. Even when good things happened, I would quietly dismiss them, thinking, this won't last. This isn't who I really am. And because I kept observing myself in that way, my outer life kept collapsing into that same story. I wasn't cursed. I wasn't unlucky. I was simply reinforcing the version of reality that matched my inner vision. But here's the beautiful thing: just as you have the power to create a cycle of struggle, you also have the power to break it. The moment you begin to see yourself differently, everything changes. At first, it may feel like pretending. You might look in the mirror and say, I am worthy. I am whole. I am capable of great things. While a voice in the back of your mind whispers, no, you're not. That's okay. Think of it like tuning an instrument. In the beginning, there's static, there's resistance. But with practice, the sound clears. And eventually, the vibration matches perfectly. When you observe yourself as someone who is already living the life you desire, you collapse those countless possibilities into a single, tangible reality. It's like taking 1,000 scattered puzzle pieces and locking them into place, forming a clear picture. Suddenly, the chaos makes sense. The random events, the chance meetings, the setbacks, they all reorganize themselves around your new vision. I'm not talking about fantasy or wishful thinking. This isn't about standing still and simply imagining while waiting for the world to change. It's about embodying a truth so deeply that your actions, choices, and energy begin to reflect it. When you observe yourself as someone capable of love, you naturally speak and act with love. When you see yourself as someone abundant, you begin to make decisions that flow from sufficiency instead of fear. And the outer world, like a mirror, responds accordingly. Here's what I want you to remember. Life is not happening separate from you. It is not some distant force beyond your influence. Life is happening through you. In response to the way you see yourself, So take a moment today to pause and ask, who am I observing myself to be? If the answer doesn't feel aligned with the life you want, begin to shift that observation gently, consistently, without judgment. You don't have to fix everything at once. Just start by noticing and choosing again. Because when you change the way you see yourself, you don't just change your thoughts, you change the reality that rises to meet you. And one day, you'll look around and realize that the life you once longed for isn't something you attracted from the outside. It's something you created from within, through the quiet, powerful act of simply observing yourself into being. 6. Signs that your frequency is rising. There are certain moments in life that feel like subtle whispers from the universe, quiet nudges that tell you something within you is shifting. At first, they might seem strange or even insignificant. You might brush them aside, thinking, that was odd, or maybe it's just my imagination. But when they begin to happen again and again, you start to notice a pattern. And that pattern is not random. It's a sign that your frequency is rising. When we talk about frequency, we're not speaking about something mystical or unreachable. Think of it like this, just as a radio tunes into different stations. Your body and mind also tune into different stations of reality through your energy. When your frequency rises, it's as though you've shifted to a clearer, higher station. Suddenly, things you never noticed before become obvious. Life feels different, lighter, more connected, more alive. One of the first signs you might notice is repeating numbers. You glance at the clock, and it's 1111. Later, you buy something at the store, and the receipt reads $3. Sen. You check your phone, and there it is again, 555. These aren't coincidences. They're messages, subtle markers on your path, letting you know you are in sync with something greater than yourself. Repeating numbers are like cosmic breadcrumbs, gently guiding you forward. They don't mean you need to do anything drastic. Instead, they're a reminder. You're exactly where you need to be. Keep going. Another sign comes through nature and animals. Have you noticed how certain animals seem drawn to you lately? Maybe a bird lands close by and stares at you longer than expected. Maybe a stray cat appears at your doorstep. Or butterflies seem to cross your path again and again. These interactions aren't just cute moments, they're reflections of your energy. Animals live in a natural state of alignment. They feel frequencies we can't see with our eyes. When your energy rises, they sense it and respond, almost as if they're saying, "We see you, we feel you, you're shifting." Your dreams may also become more vivid and profound. These aren't ordinary dreams that fade away the moment you wake up. These dreams linger. You might wake up with a deep knowing, as if you were just handed a piece of truth too big for words. Sometimes you may even meet people in these dreams, loved ones, guides, or even versions of yourself from another time. It can be startling, yes, but also deeply comforting. These dreams are messages from the deeper layers of your consciousness, showing you that the walls between the physical world and the unseen are thinning. And then there's time itself. When your frequency rises, your perception of time begins to change. Days may seem to pass in a blur, with weeks blending together, or certain moments may feel stretched and suspended, like the universe is slowing down just for you. This isn't because you're losing track or being careless. It's because as your energy elevates, you begin to step outside of the rigid, linear timeline most people live in. You start to experience life in a more fluid way, a way that flows instead of rushes. At first, all these signs can feel confusing. You might even wonder if something is wrong with you. But here's what I've come to understand. These shifts are evidence that you are growing. They are gentle confirmations that you're awakening to a deeper reality. Think of it like tuning an old radio. When you're between stations, all you hear is static. It's messy, unclear, and frustrating, But as you keep adjusting the dial, slowly, the static fades. A clear signal emerges. This is what's happening to you. Your soul is tuning to a higher signal. And these signs, the numbers, the animals, the dreams, the time shifts, they're proof that the signal is becoming stronger. If you've been noticing these experiences, don't ignore them. But don't obsess over them either. You don't need to force meaning onto every little thing. Instead, take them as reminders to pause, breathe, and listen. Ask yourself, how do I feel right now? What is my heart trying to tell me? Because these signs aren't about the outside world. They're about you. They're indicators that your inner world is expanding, that you are stepping into a version of yourself that is more connected, more aware, and more in tune with life itself. And here's the most important thing to remember. A rising frequency isn't about being better or above anyone else. It's about becoming more aligned with your true self. It's about letting go of the heavy, false stories that once weighed you down and stepping into a lighter, freer way of being. So when you see that repeating number, when a butterfly crosses your path, when you wake from a dream that feels more real than the day smile, whisper a quiet thank you. These are the universe's gentle ways of saying, you're awakening. Keep walking forward. You are exactly where you need to be. 7. The secret of coherence. The power of complete harmony. There is a deep kind of peace that comes when every part of you finally agrees. Your thoughts, your emotions, your words, and your actions all moving in the same direction, like a river flowing freely to the sea. Most of us spend much of our lives in fragments. We think one thing, feel another, say something entirely different, and then act in ways that contradict them all. It's no wonder we feel stuck, drained, and scattered. When we are divided inside, our energy becomes divided too. Imagine trying to row a boat with one oar pushing forward and the other pulling back. You don't go anywhere. You just spin in circles, exhausting yourself. This is what happens when our inner world is misaligned. No matter how hard we try, we can't seem to move forward because part of us is always resisting. But there is a state beyond that conflict, a state of coherence. Coherence isn't about perfection. It's not about pretending to be happy all the time or forcing yourself to think positive thoughts. It's about inner agreement. It's about becoming whole again, so that what you think, what you feel, what you speak, and what you do are no longer at war with each other. In the language of quantum physics, a coherent system is incredibly powerful. When all parts of a system are in sync, they amplify each other, creating a force far greater than the sum of its parts. Your body, mind, and spirit work in exactly the same way. When you are coherent, you become like a laser-focused, clear, and unstoppable. You have the strength to move through challenges that once felt impossible because there is no wasted energy. No inner sabotage. No pulling yourself apart. I remember a time in my life when I was the opposite of coherent. On the outside, I said the right things, smiled at the right moments, and did what I thought was expected of me. But inside, I was a storm. My thoughts were full of doubt. My emotions were heavy with fear. Every word I spoke felt like a mask, and my actions were driven more by survival than truth. No matter how much effort I gave, I felt like I was running uphill, carrying a weight I couldn't put down. The turning point came when I stopped trying to fix the outside world and turned inward instead. I began to ask myself simple, but honest questions. Is this thought true for me? Does this action match what my heart is asking for? Am I speaking words I genuinely believe? Or am I just trying to please others? It wasn't an overnight change. At first, it was uncomfortable, even painful. Sometimes I had to admit that my actions were out of alignment with my values, or that I was saying yes to things I deeply wanted to say no to. But little by little, I began to bring my inner world back into harmony. And as I did, something extraordinary happened. Life started to flow again. Decisions became clearer. Opportunities began to appear without me forcing them. It felt as though the world itself had shifted. But in truth, I was the one who shifted. When I stopped scattering my energy in 100 different directions, I finally had the strength to move forward with grace and purpose. Coherence is like a clear song. When every instrument plays in tune, the music becomes powerful and moving. But if even one instrument is out of sync, the entire song feels off. Your life works the same way. When your thoughts, feelings, words, and actions are aligned. When you send out a clear signal, and the universe responds to that signal with clarity in return. Think of how often we live in contradiction. We think about abundance, but feel afraid of losing what we have. We speak about love while silently doubting we are worthy of it. We act busy and productive while secretly resenting every step we take. These mixed signals confuse not only ourselves, but also the energy we send into the world. It's like trying to plant a garden while stomping on the very soil you've just tilled. The path to coherence begins with awareness. Notice where you are divided. Notice where your heart says one thing, but your actions say another. Then, gently, without judgment, begin to bring them into alignment. It might mean making different choices, having honest conversations, or even sitting in silence until you feel what is real for you. Coherence doesn't mean life will be free of challenge, but when challenges come, you'll meet them as a whole being, not a scattered one. You'll face them with a calm strength, like a tree whose roots run deep into the earth, unshaken by the passing storms. When you reach this state of harmony, you don't just live differently, you create differently. Your energy becomes so focused and clear that it can ripple outward, influencing not just your own life, but the lives of others. This is the quiet, steady power of coherence, a life where every part of you moves as one, and nothing within you holds you back anymore. 8. The cleansing of relationships and environments. There comes a point on every journey of growth where you begin to notice something shifting around you. At first, it's subtle, a conversation that feels different, a friendship that no longer flows the way it once did, a place that suddenly feels heavy when you walk into it. And then, as your inner world continues to rise, these shifts become undeniable. It can feel unsettling, even painful, but it is a natural part of transformation. When your frequency elevates, what no longer aligns with you will begin to fall away. I remember when this first started happening in my own life. There were people I had known for years, people I believed would always be by my side. But as I grew more connected to myself, I started to sense a quiet distance forming between us. At first, I tried to fight it. I held on tightly, afraid of losing what felt safe and familiar. But no matter how much effort I gave, the distance remained. It wasn't anger or conflict. It was simply a natural separation, like two rivers that once flowed together now taking different paths. This is what happens when your frequency shifts. Think of yourself as a musical note. As you grow, you begin to resonate at a different tone. Some people will harmonize with that new tone and feel drawn closer to you, like instruments playing in perfect sync. Others will find the sound unfamiliar, even uncomfortable, and will naturally drift away. Neither is wrong. It's simply a matter of resonance. This process of cleansing can feel like loss, but it is really space being created for what's to come. When you hold on to relationships, environments, or habits that no longer match who you are becoming, you create resistance. It's like trying to run while carrying a heavy suitcase. Each step becomes harder, slower, more painful. The universe, in its quiet wisdom, begins to remove what is weighing you down so you can move forward freely. Sometimes, this cleansing happens gently. A friend moves to another city. A job comes to a natural end. A social circle slowly dissolves. Other times, it can feel abrupt and jarring, a sudden breakup, a sharp falling out, or a dramatic shift in circumstances. It's easy to see these moments as tragedies or failures, but with time, you may look back and realize that each ending was, in truth, an act of protection and alignment. When my own relationships began to change, I went through a period of deep grief. I missed the laughter we once shared, the memories we built together. But as I sat with that grief, I began to understand something important. People are not possessions. We don't get to keep them forever, no matter how much we love them. Instead, we walk alongside one another for as long as our paths align. And then when the time comes, we let go with love and gratitude. And here's the miracle. As certain people and environments leave your life, new ones begin to appear. It's almost as if the universe is saying, now that you've made space, let me fill it with what truly matches your soul. Suddenly, you meet someone who feels like you've known them forever. Even though you've just crossed paths, opportunities arise that align perfectly with your values and dreams. The places you find yourself in begin to feel lighter, warmer, more expansive. This is the gift of resonance. As you elevate your energy, you naturally attract those who are walking a similar path. It's not about status, perfection, or shared interests. It's about a deep, unspoken harmony. You don't have to try to make these connections happen. They unfold effortlessly, like magnets drawing toward one another. Of course, there may be moments when you feel caught between worlds, still connected to the old, yet not fully rooted in the new. This in-between space can feel lonely, but trust that it's only temporary. It's like standing at dawn, when the night hasn't completely faded but the day hasn't fully arrived. The light is coming, even if you can't see it yet. During this time, be gentle with yourself and others. You don't need to force anyone to stay or go. Simply honor the truth of where you are and allow life to unfold. When someone leaves, bless them on their journey. When someone new arrives, welcome them with an open heart. Remember, every relationship, every environment carries its own vibration. As you rise, your outer world will rearrange itself to match your inner world. And though it may feel like endings, what's really happening is a beautiful reorganization, the clearing of space, so that your life can become a true reflection of who you are now. In time, you'll look back and see that nothing was ever truly lost. The people and places that faded away didn't disappear. They simply returned to their own paths, just as you return to yours. And what remains will be strong, steady, and deeply aligned, a circle of connection that resonates with the highest song of your soul. 9. Awakening of the body and DNA. There is a moment on this journey when the changes you felt inside begin to show up in your physical body. It can feel strange at first, even unsettling, because no one ever really tells you that spiritual growth isn't just a shift in your mind or emotions. It's also a transformation that happens deep within your cells. Your body is not just a vessel carrying you through life. It is a living, breathing record of everything you've ever experienced. And when your frequency begins to rise, it responds. You may notice your heart beating faster for no apparent reason, not in a way that signals fear or anxiety, but in a way that feels like your entire chest is alive, like it's pulsing with something bigger than you. Sometimes it happens during quiet moments while meditating, listening to music, or even sitting in stillness. Other times, it may catch you off guard in the middle of an ordinary day. It's your body's way of saying, I am waking up. There can also be sensations of vibration within your body, subtle at first, like a gentle hum under your skin. Over time, you might feel it more strongly, as if every cell is responding to a new kind of energy. Some people describe it as tingling in their hands or feet. Others feel waves moving up their spine, like a current of electricity flowing through them. Though it can be disorienting, these are signs of activation, proof that your body is aligning with higher frequencies of consciousness. And then, there's the awakening of the DNA. For so long, science has told us that large portions of our DNA are junk, serving no purpose. But ancient spiritual teachings have always hinted at something more, that within us are dormant codes, waiting for the right conditions to be switched on. As your energy shifts, those codes begin to awaken. It's like discovering hidden rooms inside a house you've lived in for years. Rooms you never knew were there, but that now reveal themselves, filled with untapped potential. This awakening doesn't mean you suddenly develop superhuman abilities overnight. Instead, it's a gradual unfolding, a remembering of what you've always been capable of. You may notice heightened intuition, a deeper sense of empathy, or an ability to sense energy in ways you couldn't before. Sometimes, it shows up as a sudden clarity about choices you need to make, or a stronger connection to the natural world around you. Other times, it's as simple as feeling more present in your own skin, more connected to your breath, your heartbeat, and the life force moving through you. As this process unfolds, it's important to treat your body with care and compassion. You may feel tired or emotional at times, as though your system is recalibrating. Old traumas or memories might surface, not to hurt you, but to be released. Your body has been carrying these energies for years, perhaps even lifetimes, and now it's finally safe enough to let them go. Allow yourself to rest. Drink water. Move gently. Listen when your body speaks, it knows the way. This awakening also brings a profound realization: you are not just a physical body. You are not merely flesh and bone, destined to age and fade. You are a quantum being, a soul having a human experience. Here and now, your body is a beautiful, sacred vehicle. Yes, but it is not the whole of you. It is the instrument through which your soul expresses itself. Much like a piano, expressing the music of a composer. When you begin to see yourself this way, life changes. Pain no longer feels like a punishment, but as a signal, a message guiding you toward healing. Your body becomes a teacher, showing you where energy is blocked, where love needs to flow more freely. You stop fighting against it and start working with it, honoring its wisdom instead of ignoring its whispers. I remember the first time I felt this truth in my own body. It was during a moment of deep stillness, when everything inside me seemed to quiet. Suddenly, I felt as if my entire being was pulsing with light. Not just my mind, not just my heart, but every cell, every atom seemed to hum with aliveness. In that moment, I understood I am not my body. I am the energy animating it. This realization changes how you live. You begin to move through the world differently, softer, more intentional. You stop needing to control everything because you trust the intelligence that flows through you. And you see others differently too, recognizing that beneath the surface of every person is the same light, the same infinite potential. The awakening of the body and DNA is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been, a luminous, timeless being, experiencing life through the miracle of form. As your cells awaken, as your DNA unlocks, you are simply coming home to yourself. And with each breath, each heartbeat, you carry that truth forward, radiating it into the world, a living reminder of what it means to be fully alive. 10. Your personal awakening as a gift to the world. There's a quiet truth that reveals itself as you walk further along the path of awakening, a truth that humbles you and, at the same time, fills you with a profound sense of purpose. It is this: your growth is not only for you. When you rise, you don't rise alone. Every step you take toward healing, every moment, you choose love over fear. Every time you align with your true self, it ripples outward, touching lives you may never even meet. Like a single drop falling into still water, your awakening creates waves that reach far beyond what you can see. I used to think that my journey was just about me, my pain, my struggles, my desire to find peace. I thought if I could just fix myself, maybe then I would finally feel whole. But somewhere along the way, I began to notice something unexpected. As I healed, the people around me began to shift too. Conversations grew deeper. Old conflicts began to soften. Even strangers seemed to respond differently to my presence, as if they could sense the change in me without a single word being spoken. At first, I didn't understand what was happening, but over time, it became clear. Our energy is never isolated. We are all connected, like threads in a vast tapestry. When one thread strengthens, it affects the entire pattern. Your awakening, no matter how personal it feels, is part of a much larger story. When you raise your frequency, you subtly give others permission to do the same. You show, through your own life, that another way of being is possible. This doesn't mean standing on a stage or preaching to the world. Sometimes, the most powerful transformation happens in silence, in the way you treat a stranger with kindness, in the way you hold space for someone's pain without judgment, in the calm presence you bring into a room simply by being there. Think of a candle. One small flame might not seem like much in a vast, dark room, but when another candle is lit from it, and then another, soon the darkness begins to fade. Your personal awakening is like that first flame. Even if you feel small or insignificant, your light has the power to ignite countless others. This ripple effect is especially important in a world that often feels heavy with division and fear. When you live in alignment with your true self, you become a living example of what wholeness looks like. And people notice. They might not understand it consciously, but they feel it. Your presence becomes a safe space where others can remember their own truth. Your life becomes a silent invitation for them to rise. There's a story I once heard about a man who healed his own anger. He didn't give speeches or write books. He simply chose, day by day, to meet the world with a peaceful heart. Over time, his family began to change. His neighbors began to change. And eventually, his entire community shifted not because he told them what to do, but because he showed them what was possible through the way he lived. That is the quiet power of one awakened soul. Of course, this path isn't always easy. Sometimes you'll feel the weight of the world on your shoulders. You may wonder if your efforts matter, if your healing makes any real difference. But here's what I've learned. Every single act of love matters. Even the smallest choice to be present, to forgive, to speak truth, it all adds up. The collective frequency of the world is shaped by the accumulation of these moments. And while you may never see the full impact, trust that it is there, rippling through unseen connections. Your success, then, is not just about material achievements or personal milestones. It's about how fully you embody the highest version of yourself. When you live authentically, you create a blueprint for others to follow. Your courage to rise becomes the bridge that helps others cross from fear to freedom. Your joy becomes a reminder that joy is possible for them too. So the next time you doubt your importance, remember this: your awakening is a gift to the world. When you heal yourself, you heal a piece of humanity. When you choose love over fear, you shift the balance of energy for everyone. And when you walk boldly in your truth, you light a path for those who are still finding their way. You may never know how many lives you've touched, how many hearts you've inspired. But you don't need to know. The universe knows, the ripple knows, and as you continue to rise, trust that you are part of something far greater than yourself, a collective song of awakening, growing louder and brighter, with every soul that chooses to shine. 11. The universe has always been on your side. There was a time in my life when I believed the universe was against me. Every challenge felt like proof that I was alone, abandoned, and somehow being punished. I would ask myself over and over, why does everything have to be so hard? Why does it feel like life is pushing against me at every turn? If you've ever felt this way, You know how heavy that belief can be? It's like walking through a storm with no shelter, convinced that the rain is falling only to drown you. But as I kept moving through my own darkness, something unexpected began to happen. Through heartbreak, loss, and the quiet moments of reflection that came afterward, I began to see a pattern. The very events I once cursed were the same ones that shaped me, strengthened me, and guided me to the exact place I needed to be. And slowly, I came to realize a profound truth. The universe has never been against me. It was always working for me, even when I couldn't see it. When you start to harmonize with yourself, when you align your thoughts, feelings, and actions with your deepest truth, you begin to notice this for yourself. Life no longer feels like a battle to be won or a puzzle to be solved. Instead, it starts to feel like a dance. The steps may not always be clear, but you can feel the rhythm underneath it all, a rhythm that has been there since the very beginning. Here's the thing. Most of us forget. The universe doesn't speak in punishment or reward. It speaks in mirrors. It reflects back to you what you hold within yourself. When you carry fear, doubt, or self-rejection, the outer world appears hostile because it is showing you the inner conflicts you've been ignoring. But when you begin to choose love, trust, and acceptance, you start to see a different reflection, one that feels supportive, aligned, even magical at times. It's not that the world suddenly changes overnight. It's that you change. And so your experience of the world changes with you, like cleaning a foggy mirror. As you wipe away the layers of misunderstanding, the true image begins to appear, a universe that has been on your side all along. Think of a seed planted deep in the soil. To the seed, the darkness might feel suffocating, like the world has buried it alive. But that very darkness is what allows it to grow. The soil isn't there to harm the seed, it's there to nurture it, to protect it until it's ready to break through into the light. Your life works the same way. The moments that feel like endings are often beginnings in disguise. For so many years, I searched outside of myself for answers. I believed happiness was somewhere out there in the next goal, the next relationship, the next accomplishment. But every time I reached one of those milestones, the feeling faded, and I was left chasing again. It was exhausting, like running endlessly toward a horizon I could never quite reach. The turning point came when I stopped searching outward and began looking inward. I realized that the things I had been seeking, love, peace, freedom, purpose, were never missing. They were already within me, quietly waiting to be acknowledged. The universe wasn't withholding them from me. It was simply waiting for me to see what had been there all along. When you understand this, life softens. Even challenges start to look different. Instead of seeing them as obstacles, you begin to see them as teachers, each one showing you where you are still holding on to resistance or fear. The universe isn't trying to break you down, it's trying to bring you home to yourself. And here's the most beautiful part. Once you align with your inner truth, the outer world naturally reflects that harmony back to you. The relationships you longed for start to appear. Opportunities unfold without you having to force them. Synchronicities, those perfect, unexpected alignments, become almost ordinary. It's not magic, it's resonance. The world outside begins to match the world inside. So if you feel like life has been against you, pause for a moment, breathe, and consider that maybe, just maybe, it has been guiding you instead. Every twist and turn, every loss and heartbreak was leading you to this very point, to the moment when you finally realize you were never truly alone. The universe has been your silent partner all along, patiently reflecting your inner state and waiting for you to see your own light. And when you do, you'll understand that nothing outside of you can ever truly complete you or define you, because everything you've been searching for has always been right here, within you, ready to be seen, ready to be lived, ready to be shared with the world. stepping into a new reality. Right now, you are standing at a threshold, a quiet yet powerful quantum crossroads in your life. And at this point, there are only two paths before you. The first is the familiar one. It is the path you've walked many times before, the loop of old patterns and limiting beliefs. It is predictable, safe in its own way, but it keeps you small. On this path, you repeat the same struggles, the same fears, the same doubts, over and over again. And while it may feel comfortable at times, it never truly fulfills you. It keeps you in survival, never in expansion. The second path is unknown. It asks you to step forward with trust, even when you can't see the entire way ahead. It is the path of awakening, the path of freedom and alignment. On this path, success and liberation aren't something you chase. They are inevitable. They are the natural outcome of becoming who you truly are. This is the moment to choose. I want you to pause and take a deep breath. Feel it moving through you, not just in your lungs, but in every cell of your body. As you breathe, silently affirm to yourself, "My success is inevitable." Don't just repeat the words like a mantra. Feel them. Let them ripple through you like a current of energy, touching every part of your being. Imagine those words vibrating within your bones, your heart, your very DNA. This isn't just a sentence, it's a promise. A promise that when you fully align with your essence, life will have no choice but to reflect that truth back to you. You don't have to prove yourself anymore. You don't have to strive endlessly to earn your worth. You don't have to fight for what is already yours. The journey now is about being, not just doing. It's about embodying the purest, most powerful, most luminous version of yourself, not someday in the future, but right now. As you become that version of yourself, the universe will respond in kind. It will reorganize circumstances, people, and opportunities to match your vibration. Not because you are forcing it to, but because this is how resonance works. The outer world is simply a mirror of your inner world. When you are clear, the reflection becomes clear too. And when you take this step, when you walk through this invisible doorway, it's not only your life that changes. The ripple extends far beyond you. Every choice you make, every moment of alignment, becomes a gift to others. You become a beacon, showing those around you what's possible. You inspire without even trying, not by telling people what to do, but by showing them through the way you live. Never underestimate the impact of one awakened soul. History has been shaped, again and again, by individuals who dared to rise, to choose love over fear, to embody a higher truth. When you awaken, you are not just shifting your own destiny. You are shifting the collective field. You are adding light to a world that desperately needs it. So here you stand, at the edge of transformation. Two paths stretch out before you, one that repeats the past, and one that creates the future. The choice is yours alone to make. Take one more breath. Feel the strength within you, the strength you've been building through every challenge, every moment of doubt, every step you've taken to reach this point. Let that strength rise now. And when you are ready, step forward into the reality that has been waiting for you all along. As you cross that threshold, remember this: you are not just changing your own life, you are changing the very current of humanity. Because when one person awakens, it sparks something in others. It begins a chain reaction that cannot be stopped. Your courage to rise becomes the permission someone else needs to rise too. And so, the world begins to awaken one brave soul at a time, starting with you.